أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to viewers and listeners. This is study number 18 of the Ramadan Daily Quran studies for the year 2020. I am Zahid Aziz and I am delivering these for the Ahmadi Anjuman Islam Lahore, UK. In this study 18, we continue the topic from the last study that Islam rejects any doctrine of the salvation of any particular group just by people belonging to it. And we continue with the verse of the verses, I should say, of the Quran from the last study. I've recited the Arabic in the last study, so here I'll read only the translation. It will not be in accordance with your vain desires, nor the vain desires of the people of the book. Whoever does evil will be recompensed for it and will not find for himself besides Allah a friend or a helper. And whoever does good deeds, whether male or female, and is a believer, these will enter the garden and they will not be dealt with unjustly in the least. This is chapter 4, verses 123 to 124. And as I said at the end of the last study, the word for vain desires here, and also in the other verse that we've been discussing from Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 111, the word for vain desires is amani. Maulana Muhammad Ali, the head of the Lahore Ahmadiyya Jamaat, once delivered a khutbah in February 1944, a Friday khutbah, which was published under the title, Vain Desires Are the Opposite of Practical Action. The same vain desires, amani. And here is a translation from some of that khutbah. He quoted these same verses which I've mentioned, which have in them the word amani. And this is what he said. And this is translated from Urdu into English. In these two verses, Allah the Most High has set out a general law of His which applies to Muslims and unbelievers equally. It will not be in accordance with your vain desires. There cannot be any outcome based on your mere desires, nor the vain desires of the people of the book who deny the Quran. Nothing will be earned according to their desires. The divine law stated in these verses is that whoever does good will meet its bad consequence. Whoever does evil will meet its bad consequence. And whoever does good deeds, whether male or female, will receive the reward. This really is a deep point that was fully understood by the Muslims of the early times. Then Maulana Muhammad Ali goes on to raise this question. What are amani or desires? These are the desires that keep on arising in a person's heart. This is why false claims are also known as amani, as the Holy Quran has said in another place in chapter 2, verse 111. As opposed to amani, there is practical action which is called amal. The early Muslims understood this point. Shunning vain desires They showed an unparalleled example of the power of action, the like of which cannot be found anywhere else, even though you might search for it. Such was their power of action that whichever way they turned, they were victorious and triumphant. If they went to the field of battle, then powerful, highly organized empires crumbled before them. If they turned to the field of knowledge, they expanded learning so widely that they spread it in the entire world, so much so that the light of their knowledge even illuminated Europe. In the field of righteousness and devotion to God, their falling in prayer before the Almighty and shedding tears at the divine threshold will probably remain unequaled in human history forever, and the like of it cannot be found among any monks, ascetics, or recluses. Vain desires and practical action are the complete opposites of each other. Those who become involved in practical works do not indulge in vain desires. And those who go after vain desires lose their strength for action. The condition of the Muslims today is that they utterly lack the faculty of strength of action. Vain desires and wishful thinking are running rampant. All these conferences that are held and the resolutions that are passed are nothing but amani. In this age, the Imam who was sent by Allah the Most High for the guidance of the Muslims, that is to say, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, founder of the Ahmadiyya movement, he came for the very purpose of creating the power of action. He created enormous power of action among his followers. His personal power of action was tremendous too. The whole world opposed him, but he moved not 1 inch from his position. Facing the most bitter opposition, he did his work and left behind a strong community. And then Maulana Muhammad Ali goes on to say, religion comes to create in humans a strong power of action. Cannot be full of this power of action, then it is futile to make claims. Remember it well, that a true religion creates within you the power to act. Remember that each one of you has that power. Put that power to work and see how a great transformation takes place in the world. So that's as far as I will read from Maulana Muhammad Ali Marhoom's khutbah. In the same connection, we should add that the Quran prohibits any people or any nation from declaring themselves as pure or sinless, or even from considering themselves as pure or sinless. It is stated in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alam tara ilallazina yuzakkuna anfusahum balillahu yuzakki man yasha'u wala yuzlamuna fatila, which translates as, have you not seen those who attribute purity to themselves? No, rather Allah purifies whom He pleases, and they will not be dealt with unjustly in the least. This is chapter 4, verse 49. That people will be dealt with entirely justly according to their deeds, and they should not ascribe purity to themselves, that we are pure, we are sinless, we are the only ones who will receive salvation. And the second verse in this connection is this, Huwa alamu bikum إذ أنشأكم من الأرض وإذ أنتم أجنة في بطون أمهاتكم فلا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتقى. That He, that is Allah, He knows you best when He brings you forth from the earth and when you are embryos in the wombs of your mothers. He knows you best when He brings you forth from the earth and you are embryos in the wombs of your mothers. So do not ascribe purity to yourselves. He knows Him best. He knows Him best who guards against evil. That is to say, Allah is the best knower of who is a mutaki, who is trying to guard himself against wrongdoing. And this verse is in chapter 53 of the Quran and is verse 32. And with that, study number 18 comes to an end. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quranil Azim. Wa nafa'na wa iyyakum bil ayati wal zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun kareemun malakun barrur raufur rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.